Hi there, my name is Dina Falconi. I'm an herbalist, educator, and the author of Foraging and Feasting and Earthly Bodies and Heavenly Hair. And what is in our midst right now, today, in mid-fall here in New York in the Hudson Valley? We have American persimmon. I'm going to get into how to ID this tree. How do you know when the fruit is ripe? How can you tell? Also, let's get into where you might find it, what its habitat is, all those details. Diospyros americana of the Ebenaceae family, American persimmon. That's what we have right here with us. You can see that these 1 to 2 inch round orange fruits are ripening. We're going to get into detail about that in a moment. What is amazing about this is its beauty as well as its tastiness. When they're fully ripe, they have a flavor of a gooey caramel Barhi date. You know what I'm saying? Sort of a very sweet and tasty flavor. So let's get into detailing its ID. Here's a fruit that's not ripe. You can see that it's still slightly green, it's turning yellow, and we want it to go from this to this stage, which is, you can see, becoming a lot more orange, but this is still not ready. Here's one that's almost ready. It's soft to the touch, and it's really becoming a brighter orange and a little bit more translucent, but still not quite there. Often when an American persimmon is ripe, it actually falls off the tree, which is what's happened to our ripe one right here. So you can have a good look at this. And here's another one that I found also that fell off the tree. And what's happening here is they look almost rotten. And they'll continue to ripen on the tree into late fall, just so you know that. But let's break into this so you can see how gooey this is. We've got a lot of wonderful, tasty, edible fruit right here. And you could also be wondering why there are no seeds in this. And I'm going to explain that in a moment. But just so you get a sense, you can eat all of that, skin and all. And then here is the remnants that you do not eat of the fruit. So you leave that calyx. Obviously, you would know it's tough. Why is it so important to eat this fully ripe? You do not want to eat this when it's at all slightly even underripe, because it's incredibly astringent. It makes your mouth pucker, it feels horrible. Don't eat it until it is that super gooey, fully ripe. Okay, now let's also discuss some things about the native habitat of this tree, or its actual world range. It's a native of the United States of America, and it will grow as far north as Connecticut and south to Florida, all the way west to Texas and to Kansas. So its native range is hardiness zones 5, some say 4 to 9. Where does this like to grow? It likes to grow actually in poor soil that has moisture, but that is well drained. So you're going to find it in the plateaus of rivers, shelves above rivers, in bottomland, in uplands that are moist but well drained, in permaculture gardens, in wet fields. In some locations, this can become quite weedy because it likes to shoot out runners and create a bit of a thicket. What else to say about American persimmon? It is dioecious. What does that mean? It means that male and female flowers are produced on separate trees. So dioecious, of 2 houses, and the flowers will live in the male and female separate trees. In the case of the tree that we have here, and why it had no seeds, is that it is self-fertile. This is a cultivar. We planted this. You're in a garden, you're in a permaculture zone, which is another place where you will often find wild, not wild, but American persimmons in permaculture gardens. So the one that we have here does not need to be pollinated. It self-pollinates, and therefore, it produces fruit without pollination, but it doesn't produce seed. So in fact, it doesn't get pollinated, but it can still make fruit, which is amazing. And then actually you have seed-free or largely seed-free fruit. But as you noticed in this particular persimmon tree, there were not a lot of fruit. Maybe you didn't fully notice that, but there's not a lot of them because our male has died back. And if we were to have some pollen from that male, we would have much more fruit. So it's good to have some cross-pollination. Quick clarification if I wasn't making sense. Typically, you need a male and a female. You need one American persimmon tree to 7 or 8 female American persimmon trees to make fruit and seed. We have a cultivar here, it's called a meter, and that it produces fruit all on its own, so it doesn't need a male. I was also suggesting though, if there was a male, that there would be more fruit produced on this tree. Right now, this tree does not produce seed or very little seed, but it produces fruit all on its own. So it's an amazing thing. Little ID on leaf arrangement. Here we have the American persimmon, slightly fuzzy branchlet, and then we move on to its leaves, and you can see that they alternate. They have an alternate leaf arrangement. And you can also see this long leaf petiole that attaches to the branch. Keep in mind we're here in mid-fall and the leaves are changing color. So often, usually they're a nice deep rich green. Here we're seeing it turn to yellow. And I want you to notice the leaf margin here. The edge of the leaf is entire. There are no serrations, no lobes, no lobing, no serrations. We come to the tip and we have a bit of a point, and the shape that you're looking at here is elliptic. Sometimes American persimmon leaves may be a little bit more eggy shaped or oblong. And here we have that leaf petiole, the leaf stalk again. Let me just flip this over for you so you can see the backside again. And there we have a pinnate veining arrangement. So we can see the veins coming off the main center midrib. Notice the bark. It's a gray to sometimes dark brown, and the grooves in here have a brown that's reddish. And what's the pattern that this is making? These ridges and these grooves, they're broken. These ridges are broken, blocky, chunky, almost reptilian, skin-like, right? Can you see that? So you've got this bark pattern that you're looking for. Here we are under the American persimmon. May its beauty and sweetness enter into your life. And if you've enjoyed this and you'd like more, check out my online course, Wild Food Health Boosters and Herbal Remedies, at wildfoodhealthboosters.com. See you next time.